and this is going to sound silly, but everybody we talked to wanted to build better products faster. And it's like, no, right? But
Right.
like, this is hard. And especially like at a scale in companies, really hard to keep velocity high and quality high. So what we really just did was we talked to a lot of these customers, especially kind of post 100 employees, because before then, like if you're like 3 people, quality and velocity is pretty high, and it's easy to keep high. But as you grow, it can get harder. And the things we noticed were, I'd say, 3 buckets that I like to think about. Kind of touched on this with the collaboration piece earlier. But the first is like why you can't build great products fast is typically like organizational alignment problems. And this can be just like, people have different opinions, but it can be also just purely kind of informational problems, which we see a lot, which is, one really simple example is designers and developers would have a different tool, right? You design in one place and you like hand off in another place. And because there's this silo of information, now you have like duplicated information in 2 places. Developers would sometimes, build the wrong thing because a designer forgot to export the latest version. And you have designer and developer think they're building the same thing.
Right.
But they don't notice it until like 2 days before it's going to ship. And then people get stressed, right? Mm-hmm. Or another classic example is engineers are working off of Jira. And or some other tool, right? It has nothing to do with Jira. And some PM or designer or engineer has basically created a bunch of Jira issues that spec out the product and included screenshots of everything to build. But nobody thinks to update those screenshots or those tasks when the designs change, right? And again, people will be building different things because you've siloed the information and you basically forked the information, right? Mm-hmm. So that's really something we want to resolve. The second bucket of like problems, again, hindering folks from moving fast and building great products, was more around just maintaining product quality as an organization grows and scales, and that it can be really hard to stay on top of this. And our favorite and best tool for this is really design systems. We think that's kind of the tool most companies employ to kind of scale quality. But the problem we heard from a lot of customers is like, yes, they have a robust design system, but nobody uses it, or people use it wrong, or all these things, right? So we really wanted to like make sure that these companies who've invested in design systems actually like, that investment is worth it. And we want to really make sure that really helps them, increase that product quality. And the third bucket, which we heard from companies that, again, wanted to, like everybody else, ship better products faster, was that dev efficiency was just hard to keep high as they scaled. And this mostly came down to just a lot of like small day-to-day paper cuts, everything from like compile times to what have you, that would just make their engineering orgs like move slowly. And in the context of Figma, we would hear things like it talked about like, oh, Figma is like complex to learn as a first-time user because it's like, especially as a developer, because it's kind of been designed for designers. Mm-hmm. Or a really classic one is that developers would get like a version 2 or version 3 of a design. And they would literally spend a day just like playing the old game of like find 5 differences between 2 pictures. And it's like, wait, what has changed here? And try to like construct a changelog manually and then like transfer that to a task tool or whatever. All this like kind of repetitive work that just like slowed engineers down day to day. So those were kind of the 3 buckets of problems we saw hindering companies to build better products fast. And that's what we kept top of mind as we were building dev mode, really. And